Typically, when I release a new preset on Very Good Presets, I will go out, we'll do a photo walk, we'll come back here, we'll import the photos, and then we will look at how the preset works on those photos. Today's release, we are just going to jump right in and talk about the new Portra 800 preset from Very Good Presets. This preset has been a long time coming. The Patreon community knows this better than anybody because I've been posting about this preset for several months. So I am super pumped to get this preset out today because this preset is probably my favorite one I have ever done. And that's because Portra 800 as a film stock is kind of an everyday look. It doesn't have this overly pastel look like Portra 400 has. You can shoot it in lower light, so you can kind of use it all day long. And even though it's an 800 speed film, any film camera from the last probably 75 years will work fine with Portra 800 because most cameras have a 1/500 shutter, so you can follow the Sunny 16 rule. Put your aperture at f16, put your shutter at 1/500, load this Portra 800 in and just go out and shoot all day long and get tack sharp photos. As you're seeing in just some examples that I've pulled just from other users online, this is a very just true to life film. It can be a little grainy, but that's kind of the trade-off of having the ability to shoot at a high shutter speed and just walk around and take photos any time of day. I always like to throw this out on the front end as well, that film and digital are two different things. Film is a physical and chemical process. Digital is a ones and zeros process. So you're never gonna actually be able to completely replicate with digital what you can do on film. But if you are a digital photographer and you're shooting on any major system from Canon to Sony to Nikon to Fuji to Leica, you are going to find this preset is about as close as you are going to get to Portra 800. Now, Very Good Presets is meant to be a one-click preset. You don't need to go in and make all these adjustments for it to look good with a single click if you exposed your photo properly. And the modifiers are meant to be able to give you things you can do to adjust a properly exposed photo to change up the style a little bit. So let's take a look at what the pack includes. The first thing you're gonna see is the base preset of Portra 800, and right under that you see a Reset Mods modifier. What this is going to do is it'll literally undo all the modifications you do to that base preset should you start getting a little far from where you wanna be and you don't know how to get it back to where you were before. I'm gonna save the first modifier on the list for last, so let's go ahead and look at Daylight White Balance. Daylight is what the film stock is actually white balanced to. This is very common in color film. You typically will have a daylight or a tungsten white balance. If you go out with your camera and you have it in auto white balance or somewhere else, if you click this daylight white balance, it'll snap your photo over to a daylight white balance, which is true to Portra 800, as well as many other film stocks. In the PDF that's included with this preset, I share the best practices to set your camera to daylight before you go out and shoot. Next up, you'll see a modifier called Faded. Faded is meant to raise the black point of your photo to give it a more faded look. Just remember, when you're going for a film look, there is no digital black or white in real life. And so while the preset itself is going to soften the black and white point, Faded is going to push that even further for a faded look on your film. Flatten is going to apply low contrast to your photo, not through the contrast slider, but it's just going to bring up shadows and bury highlights a little bit and give you a more flatter image. Golden Hour is a modifier I include in nearly every film stock emulator I do because digital photos have a lot of data. Film has a limited amount of data. So what typically can happen is while we're dialing in our colors correctly to the film stock, skin tones can get overly saturated, especially with orange, if there is orange golden light on them already. This modifier will chill out the skin tone while keeping that golden light on other things. HC is for high contrast, and you might want to have that crunchier high contrast look. This modifier will get you there with one single click. MF grain is medium format grain because if you were to shoot 35, it's going to be grainier than 120. So if you want to soften the grain structure a little bit and go with a more finer grain, click MF grain. Portrait is going to do two things. One, it's going to soften the photo some, and it's going to smooth out the highlights even further than we're already doing in the preset. This will look really good on tight portraits that are close up. Push is going to increase the exposure as if you had shot Portra 800 at a 400 speed on your meter. And warm shadows is going to do simply that. It's going to warm up the shadows from their default cooler tone to a warmer tone. The last modifier, which is first on the list though, is called Cali Gold. If you were to go look at various California photographers, film shooters, and digital shooters alike, one thing you're gonna see from people out here, whether they're in the Bay or on the Central Coast or in SoCal, emphasizing how gold the lighting in California can be, especially in golden hour. We get super gold light here. Now, this has nothing to do with Portra 800, but it is going to treat your colors to a nice golden California look, which is so cool on film. And a lot of the film photographers around California already shoot with this golden look anyway. So I thought, let's give a little props to the California photographers and include a modifier called Cali Gold. So now that we've walked through what is included in the preset, let's take a look at some photos and just see how the preset works. All right, let's start off with this photo I took in Venice Beach. You might remember a few videos ago, I don't remember how many it was, but I'll link it right here. I was at the Venice Beach skate park taking photos of skaters. Let's put on Portra 800. And you can see this look isn't like overly baked. It's a very true to life look. Here's the before and the after. Let's add high contrast to this. We've got those nice cool shadows and this great looking photo. Daylight white balance it, and we are now all set. Here is a low light photo from Huntington Beach, Portra 800 on it. And already you can kind of see, if we look in a little bit, you can see the grain structure is there. Here's the before, here's the after. And let's put Cali Gold on that one. And that just elevated this photo like crazy. Before and after. Let's hop over to this wedding photo. I do not shoot weddings. My friend Jen just recently shot a wedding, so I grabbed some of her raw files. Gonna zoom in on them so we can see how the skin tones play out, because remember, Portra 800 skin tones are gonna be a little desaturated and cooler when they are bright, and when they are darker and underexposed, they're gonna get much more saturated in orange. You can see here we're in really good lighting, so let's try this out. Portra 800, and there you have it. Let's put medium format grain on this one. So chill out the grain a little bit. And let's go from here to here. You're also seeing lens correction profiles. Most of my presets have that on by default. Let's take a look at this golden hour photo, Portra 800, and you see how things that are orange, like skin tones, get a little even more orange with this preset, and this will be true of any of our very good presets. That's why we include this golden hour modifier to just chill it out a little bit. You see that? See how the face is just getting a little less saturated? And the photo gets to maintain its warm tones, but without all that skin getting all orange. Let's take a look at this photo from Canada. Let's put on our preset. Let's make it high contrast, and we've taken it from here to here. Let's see how it works in an urban setting. Let me get the exposure up a little bit. Here is the preset, just apply it. You're gonna see things get a little more saturated while maintaining the sky. We'll make it high contrast. And let's watch the building on the right, because you're gonna see the Cali Gold shine through here. I love the way the Cali Gold looks on like 90% of my photos. Here's a photo of Jen. Let's put on Portra 800. And this is a good example of just how a portrait can look. Let's add the portrait modifier, and you can see kind of what this modifier is doing. It's smoothing everything out, making a little bit of a flatter photo before and after. Here's one of my daughter. Here's the preset. And I mean, you can really see this preset shine on a photo like this, which is in the middle of the day. Again, this preset is really for everyday usage on everyday photos. Here's the before and the after. Since this is a pretty bright photo anyway, I might just flatten it, maybe add the portrait modifier, and we've gone from this to this. And that looks like it's Portra 800, ready to go. Here's one of just an old car. Let's put the preset on it. And again, before, after. It's a photo like this that I feel like really lets you see the style of the colors that are in this preset. Now look, I could do this all day long and you're probably looking at way less than I actually just filmed here over the course of a lot of time. But there's more examples at the link below. You can see them for yourself and take a look and see if this preset is something you would enjoy doing that'll help inspire you and make you happier with your photos. This preset is going to retail for $30 and that includes all of the modifiers as well. But because I just love this YouTube community, you can get 30% off by using the code EDC right below, which will knock it down to $20, which is, I think, about the same price as getting a roll of Portra 800 yourself. Also, for the very first time, very good presets is available on Capture One. Portra 800 and Portra 400 on Capture One. So if you're a Capture One user, you can pick these presets up. And just want to say, while I demoed them in Lightroom, the Capture One version is going to be a little bit of a different philosophy because Capture One is a different way of editing photos in Lightroom. If you are a Capture One user, you know what I'm talking about already. I have partnered with a great Capture One artist and developer, and we have brought these presets to you with a Capture One mentality. And so if you're a Capture One user, the price is the same. You can get it right below or pick up both versions if you like both. They're going to be different in how we arrive at certain things. And a lot of these modifiers are going to be just very different in Capture One than they're going to be in Lightroom. Very different experiences, but you can learn more about that by visiting the link below and seeing what the differences are in the Capture One version as well as the Lightroom version. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys get something out of these photos. I think you're gonna have a blast editing with this. Drop a comment, let me know what you think, and I will see you guys next time.